Constable Ichabod Crane, sent from New York to investigate murder in Sleepy Hollow.
How much have your superiors explained to you?
Only that the three were slain in open ground, their heads severed from their bodies.
Taken by the Headless Horesman, taken back to hell.
He rode a giant black steed. To look at him made your blood run cold. Even today, the Western Woods is a haunted place where brave men will not venture.
We have murders in New York without benefit of ghouls and goblins.
You're a long way from New York, Constable.
Is everyone in this village enthralled to superstition?
We have many things to talk about, even in this backward place.
Excuse my manner. I'm not used to.
Female company?
Murder! The horseman's killed again!
The assassin is a man of flesh and blood, and I will discover him.
Are you so certain of everything?
Perhaps there's a bit of a witch in you, Katrina.
Why do you say that?
Because you've bewitched me.
Hey up, it's Steve. Sorry about that. Aidan were talking to me. Got to reach 110, have you?
110, yeah.
All right, very good.
That's what I've got to get to next.
All right.
Scorn Magnum Mallow was not easy.
Okay.
But I used 3 different monsters to defeat it, and I captured it.
All right, very good. Very good. We'll do a 2. It's cold.
When you're done, have a cornetto, please.
Right, okay.
Carry on. Sorry for the intrusion.
It's okay, don't worry about it. Hey up, it's Steve, that old Yorkshire geek. That was just my son telling me all about this monster he's beaten in Monster Hunter World, and he wants a cornetto when I've done, which is an ice cream. Hey, sorry I'm late. I was running late because of chores and actually this bloody film I had to watch. It were longer than I thought. So anyway, welcome to Friday Night Appointment with Fear. This week we're doing Sleepy Hollow. Some might say that's not a horror film. My camera's needs adjusting, doesn't it? There we go. That's a little bit better, isn't it? Some might say this is not a horror film. It's a Tim Burton film. But I think it's a horror film. So anyway, as I said, directed by Tim Burton, starring Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci, and many, many more. It's a cavalcade of English and British stars. So let's have some info about it before we get going. But before we get going, don't forget, like and subscribe. Oh, where are we? I can never point the right direction. Where are we? There. Like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. Right, we're live on YouTube. We are live on Rumble and we're live on Twitch. Yeah. Later on, I'll upload it to Spotify, Amazon Music Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. I'm also on Facebook, X, and Instagram. That's the film we're doing, Sleepy Hollow. I've not got this on Blu-ray. I'm going to have to get it on Blu-ray. Why isn't there a 4K release? I don't know. Anyway, also, in the link in the description are there links for my 2 books, Mercury Rapids, a light-hearted sci-fi action adventure, and Silent Predator, a short horror novella. Yes, about big cats eating people in North Yorkshire. It's all a bit of fun on Amazon Kindle paperback. Right, Sleepy Hollow. As I said, directed by Tim Burton, came out in 1999. It was from a story by Kevin Yeager, effects guru Kevin Yeager. And he went to Andrew Kevin Walker. They developed the story together and then took it to studios and stuff. And Tim Burton ended up with it. And the rest is history. Obviously based on the legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. with Ichabod Crane and all that, which were famously done by Disney, wasn't it? They did the cartoon version of it. Stars Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci, Miranda Richardson, Michael Gambon, Casper Van Dien. Unfortunately, Jeffrey Jones, which we've not to talk about him apparently these days because he's naughty. Who else is in it? Christopher Lee is in it with his Christopher Lee voice. Richard Griffiths, Ian McDiarmid, Michael Gough, Mark Pickering, Lisa Marie, Stephen Waddington, Ray Park as the horseman doing the sword work and stuff. Alan Armstrong, and that's about it from people that I know. It had a budget of $70 to $100 million, which were quite a lot back in those days. I think Phantom Menace had about that budget, didn't it? It had about $105 million, wasn't it? Phantom Menace, which came out about the same time. And its box office was $207 million, which is not bad, I suppose. What else? And that's about it. Yes, it's an Oscar winner as well. It won for Best Art Direction. And it won a BAFTA as well for Best Costume Design from Colleen Atwood and Best Production Design. So there we go. So it's a multiple award winner. Right, let's get on with the film, shall we? And you're all here now. It is a 4K. All right, I'll have to look out for that. Look out for the 4K. Refreshed and live in Memorex and Joshua Kanapke and Josh Temple's here as well. What's going on at Wingrace? Don't want to talk to the rest of us. I do want to talk to Josh Kanapke as well. But not me. Right, let's get on with this film. I'll make myself titchy tiny. Obviously, we're not going to watch it because I'll get into trouble, etc. Blah blah. We're going to watch it in a series of stills. May play the odd snippet. And right, let's get off. Mute this. I'm going to remember. Right, off we go. Blank screen. We begin with the old. Remember these Mandalay? They did a few things back in the late 90s, early aughts. Mandalay. Is this Tim Burton's own company? Could be. I don't know. Josh Temple's got his harpoon at the ready, which had come in handy against that horseman and his horse, Daredevil. Anyway, come on, here we go. Mandalay, there's the tiger. And I noticed, by the way, when it comes on, a little-known company at the time, I presume. It says Mandalay, at the bottom. A Lionsgate company. Who are they, I wonder? They're massive now, aren't they? Nobody heard of them at the time. But now they're one of the big studios is Lionsgate, isn't it? Anyway, off we go. Intros. Look, American Zoetrope. So it's a Francis Ford Coppola production as well. Right, we begin with seals and stuff. Signed, sealed and delivered, all that stuff. Somebody's got married. It's all in documents, blah, blah, blah. Things are being signed. Peter Van Garrett, Jonathan Masbeth, etc. Things are being signed. No horsemen were harmed in the making of this film. Well, I can neither confirm nor deny that. There we go. Stamps and stuff. Wax stamps. There we are. Van Garrett. And while all this is going on, Danny Elfman's amazing music's playing, all very dramatic and dun dun, like Batman, dun dun, giving it all that. Here we see this pouch with just happens to be monogrammed to J. Masbeth. All these names we will learn, and then we get a cameo role as Peter Van Garrett from the late great Martin Landau. I mean, it's Martin Sheen then. Martin Landau. Who you may know from, I don't know, Ed Wood, Space 1999, loads of stuff, North by Northwest, etc. And I think this is supposed to be his son driving the carriage. But I don't know his son's name, but I think it is. So anyway, we hear the thundering of hooves and we hear a sword being drawn, but we don't see anything. And then we hear a whing, and then he looks out in a minute. He looks out, and there we see, hang on, there we see a headless person, the first of many in this film. Windgrace says, looks like Manderley's still around, but the only thing I've heard from their film since 2001 is Air, which came out this year. Okay, cool. Is that the one that's about, is it Nike or something? Is it that one? Anyway. But they did a lot in the late 90s, early aughts, didn't they? Well, I saw them a lot on, home video and stuff. Anyway, so he jumps out, does Peter Van Garrett, Martin Landau, and runs into the cornfield, the maze, Maize. And he comes across a scarecrow, a very, Burton-esque scarecrow, complete with pumpkin head. And he thinks, oh, cracky, it's just a scarecrow. But then we hear a noise. Oh, hang on. We hear it. I've gone too far. We hear a noise, and we hear the clopping of hooves, and then, kshing, gets his head chopped off. By the way, cool beheadings in this film, I must admit. In the old days, they just have a dummy and chop a head off, wouldn't they? But in this, they've got, the good, the real person cut into a dummy having its head chopped off, and it's done really well. Kevin Yeager excels at heads and bodies and stuff. Because he did all the special effects for this. Right, then we cut to New York, and we learn it's 1799. And is that what New York looked like in 1799? I presume so. I don't know. This is around Gangs of New York time, isn't it? Around, I don't know. I've not seen that film. I started watching it, but to be honest, I found it a bit dull. Anyway, so we're introduced to, here he is. Here's Johnny Depp as Constable Ichabod Crane. In the story, what a teacher, wasn't he? But in this is a police officer. Yes, I said officer. So he's found a body. There we go, in the river. He takes it in. And this is Alan Armstrong. There he is. Who just tells him to burn it. And Crane says, no, we need to investigate this and find the cause of death. And he says, if it's found in the river, the cause of death is drowning. Lots of English accents. I was wondering when I'm watching this, because there's some American accents in it, but very mild American accents. I think that's deliberate, but a lot of very English accents as well. And I know this is, it's a long time ago, 1799, but like I said, the English and European people have been in North America, colonially, since what, 1500? Thereabouts, early 50, I know 1497 when Columbus arrived, but give it another 10 years or so after that, and they started arriving en masse. So we've been there for a good nearly 300 years by this time. And how long do accents take to develop? I don't know. To the the basic. I know there's lots of accents in America, in the United States, but how long do they take to develop? Lots of English accents, anyway. Maybe they've just come over from England. I don't know. Anyway, so they're not interested in his methods. He wants to be a forensic, like early forensics and all that. But so we're learning it's a tough life in New York. Joshua Knapke says, I bet it was after 1820 that accents really dropped off. That's, I don't know. It's like I said, we'd been around, since, let's say, 1500-ish, hadn't we? The British and the French and the Spanish and the Dutch and the Swedish. Lots of Swedish people came over as well for some reason, and the Irish. But as I said, lots of English accents in this. Right, then we cut to the courtroom. This is where we're introduced to Christopher Lee. There he is, Sir Christopher Lee, who's being the judge. And apparently this thing here, this torture device, lots of torture devices in this for some reason. Is it a Tim Burton fetish? This one here. Johnny Depp owns this, he said, in the special features. He says that's the one thing he got from the set, well, this implement of torture. I don't know what it's supposed to do. It's got all these spikes in it and some sort of handle, so I presume it makes the spikes go in. But anyway, Wingate says, just ignoring the Polish. Well, No, I can't name everybody. Everybody's been, haven't they? I'm just naming the main ones. All right, the Pauls as well. Oh, dear. True, but there was still a good bit of English interaction throughout the first couple centuries. There was from his personal collection, and he wanted a tax write-off. There's probably some truth in that. Anyway, right. So the judge doesn't want to know about Johnny Depp's methods, just as Alan Armstrong didn't. So they're going to send him away to get him out of the way. And it says he can either cool his heels in the cells, or he can go to Sleepy Hollow, a small farming community, two days north. So that's what he's doing. So he sends him to Sleepy Hollow, where 3 people have been murdered in the last couple of weeks. They were heads lopped off. So they're going to take his experimentations there and detect the murderer. So off he goes. And then we cut to the rest of the credits. There's some of his implements he's created. He's packing them up. And you see he's got a red cardinal. What are you up to, princess? As soon as I start, bloody cat starts moving about, making noises. This is a red cardinal. I don't know if it's a real one or not. Apparently, in the UK, because this mostly filmed in the UK, they did some scenes afterwards. A bit at the beginning, I think, where we saw the seals and stuff being done and all that were filmed in the studio in Yonkers. But I think the rest of it were filmed in the UK. And apparently there's no red cardinals in the UK. I know there's no wild ones because they're not native here. On your Christmas cards, you have these on your Christmas cards over in America, don't you? We have robins. You have red cardinals. So I don't know if it looks like a real bird to me, or is it a CG bird? I have no idea. But apparently there's only one, and they couldn't use it. So I don't know. And apparently the bird person tried to paint a pigeon red and fluffed up its feathers on its head, and that didn't work. Because we'll see another one of these later on that's definitely not a real bird. So maybe this is the one, or maybe this is an insert filmed later. I don't know. Back in America where they could get hold of one. Anyway, he frees it, off it goes, chucks it out the window, and off it goes to its new life. Right, so he's heading north. North, Miss Tessmacher, north to Sleepy Hollow. But I think this is all England, probably Oxfordshire or somewhere like that. Because that's where the village of Sleepy Hollow that we see was constructed. Here we see he's reading his books and let's have a read. Criminal investigation by forced confession. Somebody sticking spikes in the head. Punish the guilty, not the weak. Inhumane torture. Oh, this is what he's not approving of on this side. No revelation of truth. Right, so it's saying torture. You never get truth from torture. Reason and deduction detect the truth. Truth, with a pointy finger on wings. Careful observation of the crime scene yields clues to manner and circumstances of death. Very good. I nearly scrolled down then. I went with my mouse. My wheel on my mouse to scroll. I'm mental. That's then he's doing sciencey things, some sort of test tube and, microscopes. Were they around in 1799? Probably, I don't know, simple ones. And there's another one there. Right, here we go. Here we're seeing New York City's there, Sleepy Hollow's there. There's a very detailed map. New Jersey on that side and the Hudson River in between. 3 people murdered, I suppose it says. Decapitated victims: Peter Van Garrett, prominent landowner, Dirk Van Garrett, his son, who I think may be the one driving the carriage, whatever you call it, steering it, and Emily Winship, a widow. There we go. The widow Winship, who is central to this story, but we never see her alive. Maybe, well, apart from her hand at the beginning. Clue. Hey. Right, so he goes going through some woods. Jeffrey Jones, less said about him, the better. Look him up. He did naughty things. Christopher Lee, This tree again. Have we just seen this tree? Anyway, never mind. There's lots of them about these big old fat trunk trees, isn't there? Michael Gough, by the way, he's using a lot of actors and actresses that he's worked with before. Tim Burton, they do that, don't they? Obviously, Michael Gough was Alfred in Batman. Who else? Christopher Lee was in. I don't know now. What's Christopher Lee been in? Anyway, Martin Landau were in Ed Wood. He's worked with Johnny Depp. This is the third time he's worked with Johnny Depp. Who else did we see? I don't know about Christina Ricci or Casper Van Dien or Michael Gambon or any of the others for that matter. We'll come across them. Mark Pickering plays young Masbeth, and I've never seen him in anything since, but apparently he's been doing other things. He's just checking his equipment. Oh, there you see he's got these little puncture marks on his palms. He's had them since he was a kid. We're in Willy Wonka, Christopher Lee. Well, I've not seen it. I've not seen the Tim Burton Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I know which one. I know which one you meant. Not seen it because Johnny Depp. I know he were in that as Willy Wonka. I didn't like the look of him. He looked like Freddie Mercury to me. But anyway, not that I've got anything. I like Freddie Mercury, Queen of my all-time favourite band. But I didn't like the look of him in that. Anyway, and I don't like the look of the new Willy Wonka. This him from Dune. I've forgotten his name. What's his face? Timothy Chalamet. Don't like the look of that one either. Is it a prequel? Because he looks very young to be Willy Wonka. Anyway. What are you pretty much doing a Michael Jackson impression? Was it? All right, that's it. I've not seen it. And I don't particularly want to. Just watch the Gene Wilder one. The terrifying Gene Wilder one. Right, so he's checking them. We'll learn how he got them later. Co-producer Kevin Yeager. I don't know if he's related to Chuck Yeager. I doubt it. Josh Temple said, is it a prequel? Right? So that's probably why I look younger. Is it going to see him rounding up the Oompa Loompas from Darkest Africa? Because that's where they're from in the book. Josh Temple says they love Sweeney Todd. I've actually got that. It's not actually mine. It was my mum's. It's like being passed down to me. I've never got around to watching it. Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka is my number 4 favourite movie. Cool. What's 1, 2, and 3 though? It's a good film. A good adaptation. The book, I remember reading the book when I was a kid, and Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, which I liked more because it was more sci-fi with that. Cool books, but they've been changed, haven't they? Recently, to make them more, PC. Anyway. Right. So here he goes. Heading to Sleepy Hollow. Here we are. Here's Sleepy Hollow. They're showing it in all its glory. So production designer Rick Heinrichs gets his name there. And this was built. They built this, not an actual village. They built it. This is a set that they built in the village of Hambledon in Oxfordshire. And I've tried looking on Google Earth, see if it's still there. Because in the commentary, remember this is a commentary from 1999. So Tim Burton said it doesn't think the village is there, but they kept the church. So, but I've tried looking, I couldn't find it. So I don't think any of it's there anymore, which is a shame because it'd be a tourist attraction, wouldn't it? The local community would make a lot of money, but maybe they didn't want the money. They just want their privacy. They don't want tourists coming round. All right. Number 1, Princess Bride. Oh, for God's sake. Number 2, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, for God's sake. And number 3, Empire Strikes Back. Fair enough. But the first 2, my bloody Monday Moan films, weren't they? Anyway. Yes, all 2 Monday Moans. Hey. Love that. Oh, hang on, where are we? Hey. Ferris also starring The Man We Can't Mention. Yes, he was in that as well, wasn't he? And he had worked with Tim Burton before on Beetlejuice, hadn't he? Yes. Right. So went to the village that was built specially for the film. Must have cost a lot. I bet a lot of the budget went on this. I'm presuming they're not actual bricks. I'm presuming it's all wood made to look like bricks. But you never know these days, do you? Here it is anyway. So he heads to the main building. He's looking at the town, the village, seeing these lookout posts. There's a bit with this coming up, and I thought, what's he doing? Why don't you just stay in there? As we'll see later on. But anyway, somebody that gets their head chopped off. Why didn't you stay in there? He's an idiot. So, right, here he is heading to the Van Tassel house. They're the richest family in town now. Now that the Van Garretts are no more. So anyway, he goes, knocks on the door, and then he sees we're introduced to the Emperor himself. Here he is, kissing and canoodling with a young girl. He's not impressed, and it's not going to show us. Is it? Go on, show us him. Go on, he does look. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe we see him again in a bit. Number 5, The Wizard of Oz. Excellent film. That lookout always reminds me of the village scene, the village, yeah, the village. I've got The Village. You mean I forgot the name now. Shyamalan, M. Night Shyamalan, The Village. Very reminds me of it. There's a few bits like that in this that reminded me of The Village. Anyway, it's come upon like a party, a social gathering. And this is where we meet Christina Ricci, who was only 18 when she was filming this. She's doing Pickety Witch. It's like a blind man's buff sort of thing. She's got a blindfold on. And she grabs hold of Ichabod. And she says, is that Theodore? He says, no, I'm just a stranger. So she gives him a kiss. And there we go. So we learn that she's Christina Van Tassel. Baltus Van Tassel is her father. And this is Brom, played by Casper Van Dien, who's not showing us him, is it? Come on. Oh, never mind. Who we'll be seeing again on Monday in Starship Troopers. Windgrace, also like The Village, might be my last M. Night movie I thought was good. I didn't mind Lady in the Water. I didn't mind it. Didn't mind it at all. It wasn't brilliant, but I didn't mind it. What came after it? I can't remember. That Split were good. Didn't think they were good as everybody made out. And Glass, me and Aidan went to the pictures to see that. But I like that found footage one he did as well, but that could have been better. I forgot what it called. The Visit. That were all right. Right. Lady in the Water was next after The Village. Yeah, I didn't mind Lady in the Water. Any road up. Right. So he has a bit of a run-in with Brom. It's a love triangle eventually, sort of. She falls for. She's like kind of engaged to Brom, is Katrina. But she falls for Ichabod's bumbling charms. But anyway, here comes Dumbledore. Dumbledore comes out now. Here he is, Michael Gambon. He's Baltus Van Tassel, who's now essentially the leader of the town, I suppose, now that Peter Van Garrett's no more. And this is his wife. I've forgotten the name. And I know it's Miranda Richardson, but I forgot her character's name. Hang on, I'll check. Let's have a look. Miranda Richardson. No, it just says Lady Van Tassel. Doesn't say her first name. Has she got a first name? Or she's just Lady Van Tassel? Oh, Mary Van Tassel. There we go. Oh yes, Signs. Signs, The Village, The Sixth Sense, all have really compelling atmosphere. I feel like his more recent ones don't necessarily. So it isn't just the twist. Yeah. Let's say Unbreakable as well. Don't forget Unbreakable. Anyway, back to this one. This is Miranda Richardson. Like I said, this is Dumbledore, most famous for that, playing Dumbledore. After Richard Harris passed away, it's Miranda Richardson, who in the UK, I don't know about over there, is most famous for playing Queen Elizabeth in Blackadder 2, and here she is playing Queen Elizabeth. She's great. She's great, Miranda Richardson. Anyway. Was it echoing in my mic? Oh, no, it shouldn't have done because it was muted. My mic was muted. It should have auto-muted it. Anyway, whatever. Never mind. Never mind. Right, back to the film. So, the saying is most welcome. He introduced himself. He's come from New York to investigate the murders. So he's gonna stay with them in their house. I'm guessing it must be Halloween because there's all these pumpkins about. So I'm guessing it's some sort of Halloween get together. Because we're told it's a few months before the new year, so it must be Halloween. There's Richard Griffiths, another Harry Potter alumnus. He played what's his face? Dursley, didn't he? Vernon Dursley, is it Vernon? Yeah, it is. He plays the magistrate of the village. Right, so they set him up in his room, and this is the servant girl. I think it's called Sarah, who's also integral to the plot later on. It's her that we saw canoodling with Ian McDermott earlier on, who plays the town's doctor. Right, so we're going to meet the rest of the town, the town notaries or notable people of the town. Now, so Dr. Thomas Lancaster is Ian McDermott, Magistrate Phillips is Richard Griffiths, who else? And James Hardenbrook, our notary, is Michael Goff, and there he is, and he's got a white eye. There's Jeffrey Jones as a priest. There's Ian McDermott. There we go. That's them. These were all ones who were signing all those documents at the beginning. So anyway, so it tells them that do they have any suspects who might be going around chopping off people's heads. He learns, by the way, that they were found with their heads chopped off, and said no, their heads were not found at all. So the heads have been taken by the Headless Horesman. So he tells. I think this is here where he tells him the tale of the Headless Horesman. And so we're going to cut to. There we go. Cut to a scene going back in time of Christopher Walken as the Headless Horesman. Doesn't have any lines in this film apart from "ah." That's his only lines. We learn that it was a Hessian warrior. I think they were from like Germany, that area, weren't they? I don't know exactly. Somewhere in Europe, and they came over and fought in the War of Independence and all that. Fought against the British, and the winter of 1779. So it's not that long ago, is it? Only 20 years earlier. And he got caught. In the Western Woods, the shot his horse, and he went running off, and then shooting after him. By the way, Christopher Walken doesn't like horses. He says he's born in New York, in the middle of New York. Pardon me. He doesn't like horses, and he says horses don't like me. But the maid do. And the scenes where it shows him on the horse riding it at full pelt. They actually used like a mechanical horse. The one that were like, I don't know how old it was because I don't know when the film came out, but it was from National Velvet, the Elizabeth Taylor film. She was only young when she was in that, wasn't she? So they used the innards for that and put a new horse around it. Daredevil, that horse, and put all that around it, and he rode about on that. And in the wide shots where it's a man on a horse, it's a stunt rider, obviously. Anyway, as you can see, he's got his teeth filed down to points because he thinks he's Klingon. That's because he's evil. Gives me the shivers, but loving him as an actor. Yep. So he's like Klingon or a Ferengi. Must use a tooth sharpener. You know, like Nog was selling off, wasn't he? When he was leaving to go to the academy on Deep Space Nine, he sold off his tooth sharpener, didn't he? To Worf. And he's got weird eyes as well. And mad hair. Anyway, he comes across these two little girls and he says shush to them. And obviously the skip thing goes straight over them because it's stupid. There you go. These two girls who we learned, I think the twins. I don't know. I don't think it actually says if the twins. It just says the sisters. And he shushes. I says like shh. But this one here on the right snaps the twig and gives away their position, and the soldiers come. And there's a big fight, and arms and heads are getting chopped off. She's watching. One of them runs off, and the other one's watching. And they stab him. And then they use his own sword to cut off his head. As we see there, we're going to pick up his own sword and cut his head off. Shung! They chopped off his head with his own sword. Worf needs to sharpen his teeth after rotting them out with all that sugary prune juice. Yeah, but it's a warrior's drink. Which is sometimes hard to get hold of here. They're always running out prune juice. Because we like a bit of prune juice in this household. Keeps you regular. And they're always running out. And it's not us that's buying it. Anyway. Right, so this is where we learn that the Western Woods are classed as haunted, and people don't go there. They buried him with his head. Like I said, great. Kevin Yeager is good at heads. Sometimes a decapitated head, it looks rubbish, doesn't it, in films and stuff. But he's got really good heads, so to speak. By the way, Hessians were hired mercenaries for Britain in the War of Independence. Well, they're fighting for Britain. I can't bloody remember. So there were goodies then. They were on our side, not yours. He should have done android heads as well. Yes. He should, like Data. Anyway, as you can see that he's checking already his Ichabod. So obviously he doesn't believe it though. And there you go, the Reverend, I forgot his bloody name now. Reverend, what's his face? Where is he? Reverend Steenwick. He gets the Bible out. Yes. Redcoats made a deal with the devil. Tells him, all your answers are in there. And then he opens it up and we see there's a family tree. See if we can pause it so we can read it. There we go. And here we see the Van Tassels, the Van Garretts. They're all intermarried and all that. And there's Katrina at the top. Born in 1781. So yes, she's 18. Very good. So that's the Van Garrett Bible. And he's saying he doesn't believe it. We have murdered in New York without benefit of ghouls and goblins. But you're a long way from New York, Constable. And then we see the village again, showing it a lot. They spent a lot of time building this village, so they're going to show it, aren't they? I mean, George Lucas would be saying they're wasting film time on it. That's what he'd say. But not really showing it off, are they? So we're seeing this chap here in his little lookout post. There he is. And he's looking. And I don't know why he doesn't stay there. I don't know. But this mist comes out of the woods. It looks really good, I think. Anyway, it comes out and it extinguishes the torches that are there. Here it comes. Cool, spooky. And then some deer come running out of the woods. And then we hear the noise of galloping hooves. And then we hear a shot. And the next thing we see is running through the woods. By the way, I don't know who this fella is. I don't know if he's integral to the story. Oh, no, I do know it is. It's Masbeth, the fellow with the pouch. It's him. It's Masbeth. So anyway, he's running through the woods for some reason. Why didn't he stay in his little lookout post with the big, huge spikes around it? Anyway. 18 of those dishes, an old hag. She might still be 17. Well, you might, yeah. It depends when the birthday falls. But it's near the end of the year, so odds are she's 18. Where were we? So he's running. Why did he stay in his little protected lookout post? Don't know, but now he's running through the woods with the horseman on his tail, and there you go, gets his head chopped off. For his troubles. Right, so he's getting his horse, his Ichabod, from Killian, who's played by Stephen Waddington, who we saw in a few months ago when I did When the Lights Went Out. We did that film a few months ago. A good spooky ghost story based on a true story. He was in that, and he's been in other stuff as well. There he is. And he's giving him a horse. This is called Gunpowder. He's not very good on horses. He's Ichabod, but you know, he gets by. He's better than me. Yeah, because he wouldn't get killed if he stayed in the tower. Yes, and the plot would not progress. Hang on, where are we? Last of the Mohicans. Yes, he was in that as well. Yes, he was in that as well. Which is a cool film. Yes, from was it Michael Mann? I think it was, wasn't it? Starring my left foot fella. Anyway, so this got Elizabeth Killian is the town midwife. She's had parts to play in the plot, the conspiracy that's coming. She's the wife of him. So anyway, somebody calls out, "There's been another murder." Daniel Day-Lewis, yes, that's the fella. So they're got to go out and investigate. There'd been another, but they find Masbeth's head. Not head, they find his body, not his head. His headless body. So everybody's there. Look, they've all gathered there already. Got there before Ichabod. They're all looking suspiciously at one another. Well, the main players in this conspiracy all look to one another warily. A lot. They do it a lot. But anyway, there we see. Nice and gruesome. And this asks where the head is, and someone says, taken by the horseman, taken back to hell, and all that. And so he says the head is usually taken to prevent the identification of the body, and he says, but we know this is Masbeth. He says, yes, so why was the head taken? There you go. So he does some more detecting. He checks the hoof prints around, and he says, oh, the horseman chopped his head off and then came round back for the head, blah, blah, blah. There you go. Turned his horse, came back to claim the head. Then he does a weird thing here. I don't know what this is supposed to be for. But he gets his little tools out. Hello, Scottish Geek guy. Jimmy. This film was big for me as a kid. One of the first DVDs I bought. Yes, I meant to mention that at the beginning. This might have been the first one I bought. Wasn't the first one I had, because I remember my first DVD player I got, which cost about 200 quid. It had a free DVD with it, which was The Perfect Storm. But I think the first one I actually bought myself might have been this. And I was amazed. It would have, like, wow, the step up from VHS to DVD was amazing, wasn't it? In my opinion. Anyway, and I've still got it here. Still got the DVD there, and I haven't got it on Blu-ray yet. Anyway, I'll have to get it. Anyway, pause this stuff by Masbeth's open neck, and hang on. and it does, it fizzles and does stuff. Come on, play. There you go. Does that. It says there's a chemical reaction which shows there was a powerful singular thrust. I thought, how does that show that? I've no idea. But it's not more alchemy than forensics. Pardon me. Wingrace says, my first DVD player was a PS2. I told my parents into getting it because of that. Yep. Mine once it was some, I don't know what brand it was. I think it had a Y in it. It wasn't a big brand, but it was a multi-region one. So I got a lot of Region 1 DVDs, which I think I've still got some of them. Have I? No, I haven't sold them. I might have one or two. I got like The Mummy on Region 1 DVD, and what else did I get? I think Pitch Black. Blair Witch Book of Shadows. I think I've got that on Region 1. But anyway, that's by the by. I haven't got that player anymore. Cost a lot of money as well back in the day. Anyway, so he's doing this chemical reaction, which magically tells him it was a singular thrust to the neck. I don't know how he's worked that out. But can we read what it says on here? What does that say? Can't read his handwriting. And then he gets some of his implements out, and there we go. He finds that it were cauterized, as though the blade was red hot. No blood can spraying out. But we have seen where he's taking people's heads that blood did spray out, so didn't cauterize all of them, did it? Did you never do laser disc? No, I didn't. I didn't do laser disc. No, I was VHS. I'm surprised I didn't get a Betamax because I'm one of these people that got HD DVD when I had my Xbox 360. Got a HD DVD drive, and I've still got some HD DVDs over there. But no, I was VHS and then DVD. Didn't have laser disc. And I didn't know anybody who had one, to be honest. Anyway, and I didn't try that. I didn't have one of those vinyl. You could get films on vinyl, couldn't you? That did like vinyl video players, which I've never seen one, but I've seen them on YouTube. But anyway, my grandpa was huge into beta, never got over it. Lol. It's supposed to be better quality, wasn't it, than VHS? But apparently the porn industry decided to go with VHS. Much like they did with Blu-ray, apparently. But anyway, it's always the cheeky stuff that sex sells, doesn't it? It's the old story, and it sex sells. Anyway, right. So they're at Masbeth's funeral now. Here he is. There's young Masbeth, played by, I forgot his name, Mark Pickering. Oh, I don't know. He's got a weird scar on his neck, and I've tried looking it up, and nobody knows where he's got this scar from. Anyway. Right, so he gets interred, and so they all bugger off, and young Masbeth's unhappy. Oh no, see Jeffrey Jones puts his hand on his shoulder. Steady on. That's a clue as to what he's been locked up. Well, he's not been locked up, but he's on the register. Let's put it that way. So anyway, young Masbeth wants to become Ichabod's manservant or his assistant. He's whatever, but he doesn't want a manservant. So he says, sorry and all that. But then the magistrate, I forgot to put his name already. What's his name? I've forgotten. I know it's Richard. What's his face? Phillips. I can't remember that. Phillips calls to him and says, there's been more murders than you think. There's been 4 deaths, but 5 murders. 4 bodies, but 5 murders. And that's where we learn it. So he has them. He calls back to young Masbeth and says, fair enough, you can help me out. We've got all this work to do. So he has the other bodies exhumed, So he wants to investigate them. And we learn that the widow Winship, there she is. We see that she's got a sword wound to her stomach. Don't know why. But she has. And so they bring her body into the doctor's surgery. And he's not happy about it. He's the emperor. Hang on, where are we? Joshua Canuck says, I had one laser disc Flight of the Navigator. I never had a player. Oh dear. My dad was big into Beta 2, swore by it. And that's a great movie. It is Flight of the Navigator. Well, the first, I don't know. Yeah, it's a great film, but when he goes into Pee-wee mode, it's all right when he's got his normal voice. Is it Paul Rubens that does the voice of the robot thing on the spaceship? But then when he goes into Pee-wee Herman mode, it goes down a notch for me. But the film itself is cool. And it's quite, an interesting UFO tale that delves into UFO lore. But never mind. With Sleepy Hollowing. Right. So he's going to do an autopsy. So he ushers them all out and gets on with his autopsy. So here he is. So this is where he learns that she was with child. So, did the horseman stab her just to make sure the baby died as well? Just chopping her head off and seeing off the baby, wouldn't it? Maybe not straight away, but it would have still died, wouldn't it? Because if they didn't know she was pregnant, I mean, somebody did, but by the time she was found, the baby had probably died, wouldn't it? But anyway. So that's where we learn that there's a bit of comedy where a bit of squirting blood. They're always squirting blood at Johnny Depp in this film. And Tim Burton said, we had a lot of fun squirting blood in Johnny Depp's face. So it's where he comes out. He's all covered in blood. It's not one of the shows, is it? Come on, shows. It's like Klingon blood, isn't it? No, it's very bright. Speaking of brightly coloured blood and heaving bosoms, Tim Burton said he wanted to make a film like a Hammer film. So that just reminded me of that. Hammer, of course, which is famous for their bright red claret in their films, and heaving bosoms, which we see plenty of in this film as well. Right. So we're dealing with the madman. She was with child, blah, blah, blah. Right. What's happening next? Oh, yes. He's riding gunpowder through the covered bridge, which is a Sleepy Hollow trope, isn't it? Windgrace says, are they trying to remake that? Yes. Flight of the Navigator. Yes, I think I've seen somewhere that there was supposed to be a remake of it, wasn't there? I don't know, with the strike and stuff happening. You don't know what's happening and what's not now, don't we? So we'll have to wait and see. Or is it a remake or a sequel? I don't know. Might be a remake. There's a good documentary about is it something like After the Navigator or something like that, about the fella that starred as the kid in that, and he had quite this unfortunate life. He kind of went off the rails, and I think he ended up in prison. But that's good. It was on Amazon. It might still be on there. Just because I did enjoy it. I preferred Explorers. I think I've seen that once. I can't really remember a lot about it. I think was that a Joe Dante film. I think it might have been. But anyway. Yeah, gender swap for Disney Plus. Was it? Anyway. Right, so he's riding through the covered bridge and he hears a noise. All right, by the way, he hears frogs calling his name. Does that happen in the Disney one? I don't know. But it looks like we see a frog jump away and it's them ribbiting, hey, come on, that thing, it's that sort of thing. Then he hears a noise behind him and he sees the Headless Horesman. Never lands on the bloody right thing, does it? Here he comes, Headless Horesman, with a big a pumpkin in hand. So he goes riding off as fast as he can through the woods. By the way, all the wood scenes that we see, well, like this, are all on a soundstage at Shepperton. Most of it were filmed on soundstages at Leavesden and Shepperton. I think the only outdoor scenes were like where we saw them, in the countryside, like in the credits, and in New York, when we saw the street scene and that, and the village, obviously. But all the other scenes, the woodland scenes where we see the woods, are all sound stages. And they developed their own ecosystem. Tim Burton was saying, if you hear birds, it's because there are actually loads of birds flying about in the trees. They made their home in the trees. And they kept them in, from the studio audio, they kept them in. Anyway. So he gets chased. He's chased. The horseman's chasing him, and for some reason he just stops. Well, just stops and turns and looks. And then the horseman. Oh yeah, good. Pete's sake, there we go. It throws the pumpkin at him in a very dodgy on a wire way. Apparently this is in the Disney version, isn't it? The cartoon. I can't remember. It's a long time since I've seen it, so I'll have to watch. It's on Disney Plus. I know it is. I'll have to watch it. And good. Knocks him off his horse, and the horseman rides away. So he's like, "What's going on?" But then we learn it wasn't the horseman; it was Brom. It was all a ruse. And then he hears them laughing. We go. Oh, for God's sake! There we go. We go back to Ichabod, and he hears them all laughing. So I think he must know now that it wasn't really the horseman, because he can hear all this laughing in the distance. And then he just faints. He faints a lot in this. And then we meet. He's having a dream, and then we meet his mother, played by the lovely Lisa Marie. Pardon me. Who at the time was in a relationship with Tim Burton. Which would go on until 2001, when Tim Burton would make Planet of the Apes and met Helena Bonham Carter, and she were out, and Lisa Marie were out, and Helena Bonham Carter were in. But anyway, yes, we'd have to fast forward halfway to get it on Disney. It's the second half of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Yes. Anyway. So we're in a dream, as you can see, because it's all colourful and lovely. We meet the lovely Lisa Marie. What other Tim Burton stuff she been in? She was in Mars Attacks, wasn't she? She played the alien in Mars Attacks. I can't think of anything else that I've noticed her in. That's young Johnny Depp, creepy looking kid. What's his name? I bet he's super famous now. Doesn't say. Never mind. Poop. Anyway, then it cuts to right. She is attracted to bloody people into witchcraft for some reason. She's like into mystical stuff, and she's throwing these flowers onto the fire and then doing swirly patterns and stuff, as though she's doing a spell. But he's getting scared, and she's showing him the cardinal and doing the optical illusion. Where there's a cardinal on one side of the card and a cage on the other, and you spin them, and it looks like it's in the cage. It's optics. But there we meet his father, who's supposed to be a holy man, but he's got all this torture equipment as well, as we'll see later. But anyway, then he wakes up. And he goes down for a drink, and then he notices a light, and he comes across Katrina reading a book, and apparently it's a romance that were her mother's, and she reads it in secret because her father doesn't appreciate it, that sort of thing. And it looks really nice there, doesn't she? They've even, done their eyebrows to match her hair. But anyway. And this is where we learn that a mother died 2 years earlier, and the woman, the nursemaid, is now Lady Van Tassel, Mary Van Tassel. Miranda Richardson was her mother's nursemaid. You know what's going to happen, don't you? God is in his holy temple, yes. Poltergeist 2. A decent sequel, but anyway. That's where we learn that everybody in Sleepy Hollow is related to everybody else, either through blood or marriage. And this is where we're learning that the Van Garretts, the Van Tassels moved to Sleepy Hollow. They didn't have any money, and the Van Garretts rented them a cottage, and from there, Baltus Van Tassel worked hard and basically built his empire from nothing, and became the richest man in the village and all that. And then she said, "Do you want me to show you the cottage?" So she does in a bit. But first, she gives him a book, a compendium of spells, charms, and devices of the spirit world. As you see, it's my gift to you. And so he has that. And there you go. It was your mother's, and now it's his. And it saves his life later. Spoilers. Right, so she takes him out next day. Next misty, foggy, dry ice day to the cottage where she was raised, and then she notices his marks on both of his hands. But here we are. What's left of the cottage? There's not much left of it. Just basically a few beams and a fireplace, and then we learn that there's an archer, a picture of an archer. Oh, she starts doing that. What his mother used to do. So obviously he's attracted to another witchy woman. I can't say anything because never mind. They're going to show us it. Oh, there we go. The archer shows the back of the archer, which it's a bit of a stretch. The family that lived there before were called Archer, and so why would they put that at the back of the fireplace? I've no idea. It's just a clue in it. It's a clue. The Archer. Anyway, he'd seen her doing the witchcraft stuff, and it's got him thinking, hey, we see the fake cardinal. And then he shows her the there we got something for you there. We shows her that. And she thinks, oh, it's magic. And the tooth there, look. You'd think they'd sort that out in Hollywood, wouldn't you? She got a bad tooth. Anyway. There was call optics. It's science. Because science is coming, isn't it? Jonathan or leader of the Gorgonites? I don't know what you're on about. I know the Gorgonites are from Small Soldiers, aren't they? Oh, Archer. Yes, Jonathan Archer. Oh, I tell you. Yes, and Archer was the leader of the Gorgonites, wasn't he? Yes. I am Archer. Yes, sorry. I get there in the end sometimes. Sometimes. I might need a nudge. Anyway, right. There's some sort of meeting going on with the town, what they call elders. That's the word, isn't it? The town elders. Some sort of meeting going on. And Magistrate Phillips, he's off. He's had enough. He's packing a bag and he's going. Ichabod's watching from outside. Phillips is leaving with horns on his head. It's just passing by. So off he goes onto his horse and cart. And Ichabod sets after him. And this is another set. This is, I presume this is at Shepperton. I keep calling it Shepperton. A lot of forced perspective happened in this. The haystacks, obviously, they got smaller and smaller to make them look further away than what they actually are. And there's a little type, probably a small model of a windmill, which we'll see later on in the film, up close. But anyway, Ichabod heads off Phillips at the pass, so to speak, and so he's trying to get out of town to save his life, and he says he knew that the widow Winship was with child and all that, but he knows the father of the child. He's always taking his wig off and he puts it back on. But he's telling him, that he's going to save his life. And I said the horseman killed her, and there's something going on. And but then the sheep are spooked, and then we hear hooves. And as Ichabod says, there never was a horseman, and there never will be a horseman. The horseman arrives. And he goes, now tell me the name of the father. Oh, there's got his ankh, his talisman. Why an ankh? I've no idea. I know it's a symbol for life, isn't it? So he wants to hang on to his life. Anyway, so here comes the horseman. And we've got running after Richard Griffiths. And this was a cool effect. When the behind the scenes, this is head chopped off anyway. There we go. It's obviously a fake. It's a fake body, and they wanted his head to spin, so they did that. But his body itself, it's a fake body, and the joints are all held together with electromagnets. So they had like electronic stuff, and so his body would fall in a realistic way, like buckle at the knees and then just slump down, rather than just fall over like a dummy. It actually looks as though it fell over like a dummy. But in the special features, they were saying it like crumple, like an actual body would. But actually looked like it fell over like a dummy, that, doesn't it? Anyway, the head rolls. We've got the head rolls into Ichabod's crotch, and then the horseman comes and there you go, gets the head on his sword and rides off, and he faints again, does Ichabod, and then gets home somehow, shuts himself in his room and won't come out, so they have to go in after him, and he's like, it was a horseman. Time for him to head out, yes. Getting ahead in life. Not any rude jokes about head, though. Oh, for God's sake, stop doing that, stupid bloody player. Right, so they're going. It's the horseman. They say, yes, I know it was. We keep telling you it was a horseman, but it was a horseman with no head, dead. Yes, we keep telling you that. I know. I said, you don't know because you weren't there. It's all true. I said, yes, we know. Everybody's told you. It's quite amusing. And then he faints again. And then he has another dream with his mother. There he is in this, breathing in asbestos or whatever the hell it is. Tim Burton said when they were filming this, I don't know how long it took them to film, but they were breathing in this stuff. He says, I've no idea what it is. So they've probably all got cancer now. Dancing with his mother, and then his mother starts floating in the air, much like Anya Taylor-Joy at the end of The Vivitch. But I wonder if they were inspired by this, The Vivitch. I wonder if this gave them the idea for the end of that film. But so there we go. But then, cruel dad grabs hold of her. Obviously had enough of her witchcraft, and sees the symbol she's drawn. I mean, just might like drawing, I don't know. But it's Holy Bible. And he opens it up and points to a random verse. Don't know which verse it was. Can we tell? Never mind. And then he drags her off to his torture room. Young Ichabod is Sam Fior. Can't say he's easy to recognise roles outside this now. But he's got amazing eyebrows. Anyway, so he drags off Lisa Marie and her amazing assets and takes her to his torture room. But then Ichabod hears his mother's voice going, Ichabod. And in he goes. And we get the images. Oh, so we're not seeing it yet. It's going to show us later. Because he wakes up. Anyway, so he's decided now he's going to carry on. They think he's had enough and he's lost his mind. So Van Tassel, Baltus says I'll go to New York myself, and I'll get somebody proper to sort this out for us. I'll not be fobbed off with an amateur deducer or deductor or whatever it is. Early in the Bible, some maybe judges. I don't know. Anyway, there we go. Amateur deductor. But it's decided as Ichabod is going to go and investigate and find out where the horseman's grave is. Says, who's with me? Nobody will go with him, apart from young Masbeth. There they are, riding into the woods. So we were learning that it was Jonathan Masbeth that were a witness to something, and that's why he were killed. So he's putting it together that the horseman, somebody's sending out the horseman to bump people off. It's not just random. It's all gone quiet, and this is where they find. Don't know. They hear a noise. Oh, there he goes and checks it. Oh, yes, of course, yes. They find the lair of the old. This is not old though. The witch, whatever. It's an old. I don't know what it is. It's a witch. So they go in, and this is where we meet her. I'm not going to spoil it. Who she is. We've seen her already in the film. So he's going to talk to her. She sends Masbeth out. There we go. She says, no matter what you hear, keep away. So she's going to do some witchy stuff. She chains herself up so she can't get to him. And she concocts a potion. And cuts off the head of a bat. Drains its blood. Does all this stuff. And then seems to pass out. And he says, excuse me, are you okay? Then there's the famous jump scare. Are you ready? I mean, at the time, it was quite cool. Now it just looks like The Mask, doesn't it? But I'll show you it. Go on. Here it comes. Are you ready? Famous jump scare. It's just like The Mask, isn't it? Anyway, I've just noticed. I've never actually paused it before. It's actually snakes with eyes in their mouths. I thought her eyes just came out on stalks, to be honest. But snakes with eyes in their mouths. Cool. Anyway, there we go. You seek the warrior bathed in blood, the headless horseman. Follow it to the tree of the dead. There we go. So they're going to find the horseman's grave, which is next to the tree of the dead. Right. So off they go. Now what? Who does he find? Is this where he finds? I think he finds Katrina. Yes, he finds Katrina here. Nearly shoots her. I think. Is it this bit? Yes, it is. Yes. I think he used that same thing in Corpse Bride. I've never seen that. My son has. I think he's got it on DVD, but I've never seen Corpse Bride. So I couldn't say. Anyway, Katrina's come out to help him because she loves him. And they're about to kiss, but then young Masbeth interrupts because he's found the tree of the dead. And here it is. In very, there we go, very Burton-esque. Could be any more Burton-esque, could it? So it looks like a twisted creature. But then he notices there's like some red sap coming out of the tree, but it's blood. So he goes and gets a little hatchet and starts chopping. So they're squirting blood at him again. There you go. And sees the trees bleeding. And then he finds some heads in a minute. There we go. Carries on chopping. There we go. Finds heads of the missing heads. That's what I'm trying to say. Of the victims. Why don't you just go up there? If they're looking for the horseman's grave, there's a big bloody sword there sticking out of the ground. Why don't they just go up there instead of chopping up the tree? Actually, it's like a combo of Poltergeist and Pumpkinhead. Another film I didn't like. I like Poltergeist, but Pumpkinhead. Could never get into it. I've tried to watch it a few times. I could never get into it. Never get into it. But Poltergeist is good. So they found the heads. That's where the horseman's stashing the heads. And then there you go. Then he notices it. That sword up there. So he says the earth's been disturbed. So he gets a shovel. There we go. Bring the shovel. So he finds this is the horseman's skeleton, but no head. The skull is not there. 'Cause remember, they buried it with him, didn't they? So somebody's dug it up and taken the head. So the horseman is taking other heads until his own head is returned to him. There you go. And then they hear a noise, and then the horseman's going to come out of his of the tree. He's being summoned again in a minute. Here he comes. Oh, and the heads just move out of the way all nicely. Look, just move out of the way. These heads. And Daredevil and the Horseman come out of from their portal to hell and ride off into the forest. So Ichabod sets off after him. So there's a big chase through the woods, and he's after the Killians now. Is the Horseman. So we meet the Killians. It's young Killian. Don't know his first name. The kid. Is lighting a lantern that casts spooky shadows, because remember it's Halloween season, onto the wall. And there's the Killian parents, the midwife, remember. So she knew all about Widow Winship being with child. Otherwise, an awesome effect, though. Yes, it was, apart from the heads moving out of the way nicely. They have good beer. Killian, do they? I've not heard of it. Not a big drinker. Anyway, so what's he got? He's got like an octopus and sea creatures and stuff, and a witch there. What's an octopus got to do with Halloween? I don't know. Looks like a witch, doesn't it? There. Anyway, so he's saying like off to bed. So he's getting ready for bed. But then, all right, the fire suddenly flames up, and if you watch it frame at a time, they're like pumpkin faces. You know, like we saw when he threw the flaming pumpkin Brom through it at. It's that sort of face. If we can pause it in an appropriate place, you can see like there, you know, in spooky faces in the fire, because the Horseman cometh. There we go. Kicks in the door. By the way, it's Ray Park. Have I said that? It's Ray Park playing the Horseman without his head. Probably around about the same time he were playing Darth Maul. I think that had finished filming not long before they started filming here. Yeah, because they said I think he said in the commentary at Shepperton, that stage that their forest is in, Phantom Menace had just finished filming in there, so they'd cleared all their stuff out. Anyway. Joshua says, used to really enjoy Killian's Irish Red back in the day. I've not heard of it. Mustn't have it over here, but like I say, I'm not a big drinker anymore. Right, the Horseman's come for Stephen Waddington's head. Says, Beth, run. Oh, she's called Beth. Right, fair enough. So he tries to fight against the Horseman, but obviously doesn't last very long. She's got to get the kid and hide the kid. See, she stuffs him in the cellar. And I like this effect, by the way. I know it's going to be a bit gruesome, like, but we pause it right. Chops his head off here anyway. If you watch, as it chops, like a bit of steam comes up off the neck. There you go. As though the blade's hot, but there's still some blood splatter. But anyway. It's just a cold day, and it's just steam from warm blood. Could be, couldn't it? Anyway, she stuffed the kid under the floorboards, hoping he's safe. The Horseman comes in with Daddy Killian's head in his hand, and then he goes up to the. We don't hear it. We don't see it, but we just hear it. See the kids underneath, and we hear it. the walk across me, and then there you go, she's looking, and then we hear, there we go. I wonder what that is. And then we see he's chopped his mother's head off. And I watch this and I think, can she see him? Can she see her son? Because they said, don't they, that your head, you don't die instantly. Your head can be still aware for a few seconds, can't it? So is she having a last look at her son? I don't know. I don't know. By the way, what are we supposed to call Irish car bombs now? I assume that's not an okay name anymore. Oh, that a drink. Well, that a drink. I mean, it's not like the horseman's using a lightsaber. Not this time. Anyway, so as I was saying, is she looking at her son one last time? And then the horseman picks up the head. Hang on, not on the hammer. There we go. Picks up the head and starts walking out. But then the kid must make a noise. I don't hear it, but the kid must make a noise. The horseman decides to go back for him. I mean, poor kid. I mean, they did actually debate whether to do this in the film, but I thought, sod it. He's tying up all the loose ends, isn't he? To be honest, the kid might know something, so he smashes his way with his axe through the floorboards, grabs the kid. The next time we see him, he's coming out shoving. You can't see it, but he's shoving the kid's head in a bag. I say he's thorough. There he is. Look, in his drawstring bag. So, going to jump onto Daredevil and ride off, but Brom has other ideas with his super amazing sights and his rifle. And he shoots and knocks the... No, he's done it already. Never mind. Shoots the horseman off the top of his horse and goes to check. And then the horseman gets up. He's trying to reload. But the horseman, fights back with the horseman. The horseman just walks past him because he's not gone for him, has he? He went for the Killians, so he doesn't want to kill Brom. But Brom keeps forcing the issue and keeps fighting him. He throws a dagger at him, so the horseman just throws it back and it goes in Brom's leg. He's unlucky with his leg, isn't he? His Casper Van Dien keeps getting stabbed in his leg. He gets whatchamacallit, an arachnid claw through his leg, doesn't he? In Starship Troopers. Anyway, Ichabod. Weird names. Ichabod arrives and he tells Brom, he's not after you. Let him go. He don't want to get you. But Ichabod's, I'll get him. So he'd start fighting again. And then Ichabod decides to join in. He gets like a scythe. Brom's using sickles. Ichabod's using a scythe. So they're both fighting him. And he gets the scythe in the horseman's back and he starts walking off. And Ichabod says, we cannot win this fight. So they start retreating back across the bridge. Then they hear footsteps. So they must be walking on the bridge somehow, on the roof, even though it's like a sloped roof, but never mind. Then he drops down. There you go. And he stabs Ichabod there in the shoulder with his Morgul blade and throws him like that. He's very strong. And then Brom and the horseman start fighting again. And Brom gets cut in half. Missed it. Of course. I'm going to show it. There we go. And cool, gets cut in half. They're very, I don't know, it must be very, squishy around the midsection. Not much to him. So the horseman just walks off. And he faints again, obviously. Next thing we see, the Emperor Palpatine's telling us that he should be dead. Don't know why, but says he should be dead. But there's no bleeding. Doesn't even need a stitch, because of his the devil's fire in the blade or whatever. Anyway, yes, was that payback for just getting cut in half? Phantom Menace? Yes, it was. I bet it felt good. I bet it felt good. Let's just make sure we're still going. Did it? Yes, so we're still going on. Oh, hang on. Sorry, Horror Stream on Rumble. Horror Stream on Rumble says, we never had a VHS player until I left home. Well, the first person I knew to have a VHS player was my sister. And I don't know what year it was. Probably about 1981 or something like that. She had a huge Ferguson Video Star, which was massive, which she rented. And yeah, the business model for VHS won out. So thanks, Horror Stream. Just bear with me a minute. I'm just going to follow Horror Stream. There we go, follow. So I just followed Horror Stream on Rumble. We don't get a lot of chats things on Rumble. I was surprised there. Caught me out. Anyway, and Joshua says there's nothing in that area that would have killed Ichabod. Not really, no. Not really. But anyway, maybe just, because it's 1799 after all, and they're in the middle of nowhere, so to speak. So probably people died from a lot less. But anyway, there you go. There's no stitch and there's hardly a loss of blood, but he's got the fever. But Katrina's whipping up a potion with a bloody crow's foot and all that, and she's doing a spell and giving, because she's a witch, because everybody's a bloody witch in this film. And then we go, drink this down, it'll make you sleep. And then he's trying to say that I tried to stop Brom, blah, blah, blah. Discovered that the horseman doesn't kill at random, but they know, look, sideways glances going on. They know the score. There's Dumbledore and the Emperor. Anyway, and so he knows now that somebody is controlling the horseman, someone of flesh and blood, as I've always said. Anyway, they're saying he's raving, so he's going back to sleep. Now he has his I think this is his final dream, going into the red door. Hope it's not Insidious. God, that was crap. Insidious, the red door. I'm a big fan of the Insidious films, particularly the first one. But the red door was bloody awful. Anyway, so here he is. I know his face. I've seen him in something else, and I can't think who he is. Who plays him? Can't see his name on the. I'm gonna have to go into bloody all cast and crew, aren't I? Hey, Lady Crane is Lord Crane. Peter Guinness. That name rings a bell. What have I seen Peter Guinness in? Yeah, the face. Very familiar face. Oh, in Justice League. Alien 3. Yeah, that's it. I've seen him in Alien 3. He's been in loads of other stuff as well. But that's probably where I recognise him from, Alien 3. What else has he done? Peter Guinness, the actor. We're in Ashes to Ashes, which were a cool series. Had been in Doctor Who. Anyway, yeah. Oh, Lex has been in Lex as well. That was a good series. What I saw of it. Didn't watch it all. Lots of TV. Anyway, right, an Alien 3. But I recognise it from Alien 3. Are they witches or a duck? Well, I don't know. Don't burn them at the stake either, do they float? Anyway, no Witchfinder General in this. What was his name? Matthew Hopkins, to the Witchfinder General. Right, so he comes out of the door with the red room, and as he walks past, you see he's got no head. And young Ichabod there's looking, so it's like a, what's the word? I can't think of the word because I'm an idiot. But then he hears his mother's voice, Ichabod, and goes in to the torture room of his holy father. who's supposed to be some sort of priest or whatever. I think, I don't know. He calls him Lord Crane, but I don't know. Maybe he's just a religious zealot. But he's got all this torture equipment, which may be Johnny Depp's own. But then he sees his mother in an Iron Maiden. You can see her eyes, and then he steps back in shock, puts his hands on these not very sharp-looking spikes, but they draw blood and leave little holes in his hand that remain for the rest of his life. Saying that, though, I've got a little scar on my thumb here that I did on myself when I was about 10. So I've had that for like 46 years. A little scar on my thumb. Anyway. Oh, see, I've gone too far. There we go. See, and it opens up, and she comes out all bloody. There you go. It's an homage, isn't it, to Pit and the Pendulum? I think no, is it not Pit and the Pendulum? I forgot to call it. I've not seen it. I've seen clips of it. It's got Barbara Steele in it. Was it a Mario Bava film? Can't remember. But apparently he did homage Mario Bava and the Pit and the Pendulum fella. God, me and names. The producer who's done everything and got everybody their first gig. That fella. Homaged him a lot. But anyway, so he's obviously seen his dad kill his mother in an Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden. Right. Anyway, so he wakes up out of his dream into the arms of Katrina. And where he's remembering that his mother were murdered by his father. Roger Corman, that's the fella, thank you. Yes. Tell you, me and bloody names, I can never remember them. So give everybody their first gig, didn't he, Roger Corman? if you're in the movie business. Right, so he's got to carry on his investigation, and they're falling in love, as you can see. Don't know how old would Johnny Depp have been when he made this? I don't know. How old was he? Let's have a look. Remembering she's 18. In real life, I'm talking. John Christopher Depp II was born in 1963. So this was filmed in 1998. So that's 35 then it'd be, wouldn't it? 63, 83, yeah. 35 when he filmed this. And she were 18. Jailbait, but not really. But not really. That's that a lot. Do you think me wicked? I said, yes, I do, because you're a woman and all women are wicked. And you can't let it go. Perhaps there's a bit of a witch in you, Katrina, so I'll have to have you burned at the stake. Nay, but you have bewitched me. Anyway. Right, what's happening next? That's a very Tim Burton shot, isn't it? Right, so Miranda Richardson's ministering to Johnny Depp. Apparently the servant girls disappeared, Sarah. So they've got to look after them themselves. There you go. Sarah, run away like so many others. But did she? Joshua says, looks at least 10 years younger than his age in this. Well, let's say he's aged well, hasn't he? I say he's older than me. He's older than me, and I look a lot older than him. But it's all the drugs he's taken. It's preserved him. Right, so he's got to get up and sort out this conspiracy. So he's got all the names out, and he's going to write them on his thoughts in his notes. All the frightened men arguing together on the very night. The elders of the village. And he writes it down in his ledger. 5 down to 4. No, 5 bodies to 4 graves. And it'll show us at end. There we go. And the secret conspiracy points to Baltus. That's how he writes it. There you go. The secret conspiracy points to Baltus, and then he just leaves it for everybody to see. Who goes in his room, and then he looks at the family tree again. And right. So they've got to go to the notary Hardenbrooks now, because to find out, what's going on. The papers and the evidence. They're looking for. They've got to split up and search for clues. So here they are at the notary Hardenbrooks. The notary's nowhere to be seen, but he's not far away. But young Masbeth sees his dad's pouch with his name on it. Says, "What's that doing here?" And then Alfred's hiding in the cupboard. And he's looking for the last will and testament of Van Garrett, I think. This is where we learn that the estate passes to his next of kin. It turns out Van Garrett's next of kin is Baltus Van Tassel, because his sons died because he married Baltus Van Tassel, not Baltus Van Tassel. Peter Van Garrett married. We learn that he married the widow Winship, who was with his child. So he married her, and the magistrate, the middle law, the Reverend Steenwick did the ceremony, and he notarized it all. So this is what brings them all together, and then he changed his will. Did Van Garrett, so that the widow Winship became his sole heir and her unborn child. And so this leads what's his face, Ichabod, to deduce that it was Baltus all along, because he would be the one to inherit, because they were, related through marriage and stuff like that. He would become next of kin and get all of the Van Garrett stuff. So this is where he's learning it all. And Jonathan Masbeth, sorry, pardon me, witnessed the will, the changing of the will. Guess he's taking better meds than Keith Richards, yes. But Keith Richards is going to live forever. Just going to look like, bloody an old saddlebag or something, isn't it? Forever. Wow, did Frank Weller just show up in the stream? Don't know. Who's Frank Weller? Oh, Welker. Who's Frank Welker? Anyway, is that does voices? Is that Frank Welker who does thingamabobs, voice acting and that? That's Frank Welker, isn't it? Is it? Anyway, so gets all the so this is where he deduced that it's Baltus Van Tassel, just as he wrote in his notes. So he thinks Baltus is sending out the horsemen to get rid of the people of the Garrett family, Van Garrett family, so he will inherit everything. So he's going to go back and confront him, I suppose. But he goes back to his room, and Katrina's there. She's read his book, and she's seen that he's blaming her father. So she says, there we go. She sees that, so she's not happy about that. So she goes. Then he sees a spider, and he's scared of spiders. And in the commentary, Tim Burton was saying, "All right, sorry, Miss Scooby, let's split up and search for clues." Oh, Frank Welker did Fred, didn't he? Of course he did, yes. In the commentary, Tim Burton was saying that for like ages on the set, they always had a bug man. They used to turn up every day with all of his bugs in I don't know, cases or whatever. They never used them until today, until this scene when they needed a spider. And they finally had a use for this bug man that just were there all the time. They never needed him. Anyway, it's a spider. Kill it, kill it. It says no, stomp it there. But I watched it earlier on my DVD, and it says stun it, not stomp it. They got the subtitles wrong there, haven't they? Anyway, he moves the bed, so he's scared of spiders. I'd be scared of that spider as well. It was big, wasn't it? And we see that there's somebody's drawn a. What we learn is a protection sigil, I suppose you call it, wouldn't you? In pink chalk, and Tim Burton says it doesn't know if they had pink chalk in 1799, but it's a fantasy. Who cares? Maybe they did. As Ridley Scott would say, "Were you there?" That's what he says about everything. He did it in Gladiator, didn't he? He's done it for this new Napoleon. He also did it during Gladiator, didn't it? Press for that. Were you there? Do you know everything? With people pointing out historical inaccuracies. Anyway, probably like, the historical inaccuracy of the fella with the t-shirt and jeans on, but in that shot. Circle of Protection's pink. Well, maybe so. Right, so what's happening next? The following. Somebody's leaving the house. Somebody in a cloak and hood. So go and follow them. And this shot here, this is another forced perspective. Obviously on the set, you see the windmill in the background, and that's only about a foot tall. It's a little puppet that they did, and they just dragged it across. This set of small trees. But that's it. It's a bit of forced perspective. And then they go off into the woods, and he finds. Here he's got his gun. He finds Lady Van Tassel having it off with the Reverend Steenwick. Here she is. They're at it in the woods. And she pulls out a dagger. And we think, she's going to stab him, but she doesn't. She cuts her own hand for some reason and just rubs it all over the Reverend for some. And I don't really know why. It's just for identification later. It's kind of a clue, I suppose. I don't know what you call it. It's a MacGuffin, I suppose, maybe. I don't know, but it doesn't really serve much of a purpose. Apart from to identify somebody later on. Anyway, so he heads back, and what's happened now? I think his book's gone. That's it. His ledger thing, his notes in has gone. So he obviously deduces that Katrina's taken it, and she's taking it back to the Archer fireplace, and she's burning it on there. There you go. He took the evidence. Oh, she took something else as well. Maybe the documents and all that. And she's not happy with him because he's blaming her father, but she doesn't think he's anything to do with it, and blah blah blah. So she's not happy, and she curses the day that he came to Sleepy Hollow. She's going to say it now. Look, there you go. Goodbye, Ichabod Crane. There you go. I curse the day you came to Sleepy Hollow. And she goes and rides off. Right, so Ichabod goes back and he sees Lady Van Tassel cooking. Remember, Sarah's disappeared, the servant girl, and Katrina doesn't want to see him because she's not happy. And then Lady Van Tassel says, "You'd not ask me, how I hurt my hand." And then she shows him the big cut on her hand, which looks kind of angry, but. So she says, "I know you saw me. You can't tell my husband." But then her husband walks in. And then we learn that the notary Hardenbrook's dead, Michael Goff. Hanged himself. At least I said the right word, not hung himself. Hanged himself. Anyway, the Reverend Steenwick's called for a meeting, so there's going to be a big meeting at the church. He says to, "You'd be better to leave." And then she says... He asks her about the cut on her hand, and she blames it on an accident. She's going to go and gather some herbs. We do need protection from pink. I couldn't name a Pink song if you held me at gunpoint. Guess Patrick Stewart didn't watch this. I don't know. Do you random stuff that I've got to try and work out? Oh dear. Anyway, the Four Lights. I don't know. Right, they're headed to the church for this big meeting. There she is. She's gathering herbs to, I suppose, rub on her wound. And he arrives. Does Dumbledore? He says, "Come on, we've got to go to the meeting." But then the horseman arrives. There he is. That's clopping up behind him. We gets his sword out, and he looks. And then the next thing we know, he comes running up saying, "The horseman's coming. He's killed my wife," and all that. Oh, you're hanged. Oh, yes. In Picard season 2, he said hung, didn't he? Says his mother hung herself. He should know better, shouldn't he? Really? Yes, he should know better. Should Patrick Stewart, Sir Patrick Stewart, somebody with a Sir in the name should know the difference between hung and hanged. Anyway, and he's a Yorkshireman. He lived, born about 2 miles in that direction. From where I live, in the village of Murfield. That's where he's from. Anyway, right. So they're all heading to church. There we go. The horseman saved me. He killed your stepmother. So here he comes. The horseman cometh, and all shooting at him, which obviously does no good. So they'll go that smashing the windows and shooting back at him, and she's drawing a bloody pagan, devil worshipping sign in the church. Never mind. But the horseman cannot, enter hallowed ground. Oh, daredevil won't go. Just paws at the ground. He ain't got paws. He's got hooves. I thought I'd said that before you bloody did. Then he throws his axe. And I told you it's a Morgul blade because that happens, look. Just like in Lord of the Rings. So his axe dissolves. Hope he's got spares. Anyway, they're all shooting at him through the windows. The elders, the ones that's left. There's the doctor, there's the reverend, and there's Baltus left. They start fighting over who's to blame and all that. She's still doing all that. Then Baltus grabs a pistol, and the doctor says, "I'm gonna rat you all out," and then the reverend grabs a big cross and whacks him on the head with it. Apparently, it hit him quite hard, but Tim Burton says not that hard, but it did hit him quite hard. And then that's it. And then Baltus shoots the reverend. Nice bit of claret comes out there. So he's like, there is a conspiracy here. And he runs up to the top of the pulpit. Yes. He just wants to ask them a question. Oh dear. Anyway, he runs up to the top of the pulpit. As we see, the horseman's tying he breaks the picket fence, breaks a bit of wood off and ties a rope to it. And he says, "There's conspiracy here, and I will shake it out." So he's grabbed another gun. And but the window smashes and the picket fence bit comes through. And it's another hammer homage, said Tim Burton. And then he gets pulled back through the window. There we go. And dragged through the graveyard. Good job he didn't hit any of them graves, isn't it? And the horseman, hang on, missed it. There we go. The horseman goes and chops his head off. Yay! Another head chopped off. They're not shying away, are they, from the chopping off the heads, and she faints. And then he sees, she is the one with the pink chalk. And he looks and see that they're dead. So all the elders are gone now. And then we see that she drew that in the church, and so now he thinks that she's the one that was behind it all. Because next we see her there in bed, and he's saying, you will now find peace. So he's just going to leave, even though he thinks it's her that's behind it all, has had everybody killed and was controlling the horsemen. He thinks it's over now. So he's going to go back to New York. He's burning his love letters to Katrina because he loves Katrina. It burns that. And he doesn't burn the little book of spells that she gave him because his carriage arrives. And this is young Masbeth says, you think it was Katrina, don't you? But said no. And then he says, she's a strange sort of witch with a kind and loving heart. But, anyway, so he says, I'm going now, it's all over, blah, blah, blah. You carry on with your life. He's crying. See, he's got this scar, look, on his neck there, look. And, has the actor actually got that scar in real life or what? Because I've looked it up and other people have asked the same question, but there's never been an answer. The actor has said he's got a scar on his arm from when he was a child, but never mentioned his neck. I don't know. Anyway, so he's leaving town. He's, what's his face? Ichabod. He thinks it's all over. She's watching him go. Then here we see the body of Lady Van Tassel. She's been taken into, the doctors, even though he's not there now. He's dead, isn't he? So he starts thinking now. Does Ichabod? He starts doing his optical illusion thing. And then he's obviously thinking, everything is not as it seems. So he has an idea, and he tells him to turn round. Oh, it's where he learns that the symbol that were drawn in the church and under his bed was for protection of a loved one against evil spirits. So now he's realised it wasn't Katrina at all. So he tells him to turn round. So he goes back to check the body. And he notes that there were no bleeding of the wound on this hand, and no healing either. What's his actual words? There we go. Anyway, this cut was made. This woman was already dead, and this is where we learn that she's very much alive. Is Lady Van Tassel, and there you go. She's the baddie. She's the one, and the dead person who we thought was her is the Sarah, the servant girl. Anyway, they're heading to the windmill. She's taking what's her face, Katrina, to the windmill. It's obviously a reference to Frankenstein, isn't it? I can't remember which one it is. Is it the first one that's got the windmill in, or is it Bride of Frankenstein? I can't actually remember. But one of them, one of the Frankensteins, have got a big windmill in, hasn't it? I think it's the first one, isn't it? I think. Anyway, obviously an homage to that, which will get homaged again in Van Helsing. Oh, I tell you, I got there in the end. Right. So she's doing spells and stuff, and here we see she's got the skull of the horseman. She's calling the horseman to do one more thing, which is to basically kill Katrina. Original ends with the windmill. Brad starts with it. Oh, there we go. It's been a while since I've seen those Frankenstein films. Been a while. So she's calling the horseman. Here he comes, coming now for Katrina. So here he goes. It's on his way. And so now she does she spills the beans, tells us her entire plan and their whole life story. We learn that Baltus didn't stay to watch because she says, my father said the horseman killed you. I said, no. He didn't hang around. He assumed the horseman killed her. But it didn't, because she's controlling the horseman. And there we go. We learned that the body was the servant girl, Sarah, and it was her that chopped her head off. So that's it. One stroke. I mean, even these beheading people in Saudi Arabia sometimes don't get it with one stroke, do they? Don't get me started. Anyway, so there we go. Oh, and she cut. She cuts the. But he said no bleeding, but we see there that's bloody bleeding, isn't it? Just drawing it on, isn't it? Anyway, whatever. And this is where we learned that her family name was Archer, the Archer. So did they just decide to put that in the fireplace, in the back of the fireplace, for some reason? But it was their cottage, and they were evicted because her father died, and her mother and her were left, and her and her sister were left, and her and her sister were the two little girls that saw the Hessian earlier on, and but they were evicted, and the Van Tassels moved in after them, so they blame them for them not living there anymore. So they moved into the Western Woods. There you go, lived as outcasts in the Western Woods, and then the mother died within a year or something or whatever. But her and her sister remained and brought themselves up. But as they were gathering firewood, the Hessian came upon them. There you go. At that moment, I offered my soul to Satan. Cool head. And she vowed revenge on, all those who stole their home, etc. And so that's how she ended up becoming the nurse for Katrina's mother, and then ended up, in the marriage bed. There we go. So we learned she essentially killed Katrina's mother, put her body into the grave, put her own in the marriage bed. Meanwhile, he's sneaking up and listening to it all. Then we're learning that. She's doing a Columbo. She's telling us all everything, and that the midwife told her that the widow Winship was pregnant and all that, and in front of her husband, I presume the kid as well. So that's why they had to die. More heads for there we go. More heads for the horseman. There we go. But lust delivered the Reverend Steenwick into my power. So were he never going to get his head cut off? And same with the doctor. But she says the doctor, she knew about the doctor's impropriety with the servant girl because they were married. There you go. Doctor's silence I exchanged. There we go, for her knowledge of his unfaithfulness. But anyway, so for her to get everything, Katrina's got to die. Oh, and she killed her sister as well. She killed her own sister as well. Presumably not long, not long before we saw her take Katrina, because she's wearing the same clothes. Anyway, so they go running off. There's Masbeth and Katrina, but the horseman's coming. Ichabod arrives. Oh, she's got the horseman's skull in her hand, so she hides it behind her just as the horseman arrives. She's holding his skull behind her. They run back into the windmill. There he goes. He doesn't see the skull. He goes in. She says, "Go get him, Tiger." She don't really. At the start, the machinery going. They climb up. The horseman gets in, and he going after them. They climb out and they go down on the vanes or the sails, whatever they're called. I don't know what they're called. Back down. And you go jump for the sails, so they use them to get back down. Also reminds me of that windmill from Courage the Cowardly Dog. You remember that episode? Which one now? do they call them now? Not vandals. What it vandals? What it that one? If the windmill stopped, these like vandal horde or something like that came and destroyed everything. Whatever. Anyway, he throws a lantern down. It catches fire, obviously, so everything's starting to burn. But they get down, and the horseman comes out. Say, he can't die because he's dead already. Oh, it all blows up. By the way, this windmill, I think, like 6 stories tall, and it looks like it's on a set, but it isn't. It's actually outside because they didn't have a stage big enough for it. So they built it outside, but behind it, all this behind, is like a huge screen, like a big, like, I don't know how tall it is. If that's 6 stories, the screen must be huge. It's sort of like goes around it. Don't know how they couldn't just have, maybe what's behind it. Maybe there's buildings or something. I don't know, but they had this huge screen. Windmill vandals, yes. What is that? Right. I remember that episode and the one with the slab. Return the slab. Oh, and the one with the foot. It was weird, wasn't it? Courage the Cowardly Dog. Anyway, so say, is he dead? No, he's dead to begin with, so he comes out. So the chase is still on. So they're heading through the woods. What's he looking so happy about? But with the horsemen hot on their heels. So we're having some nice fighting and stuff on the carriage. There we go, being dragged, etc. All that good stuff. And now he's being dragged. They swap places. Oh, pardon me. Anyway, there you go. Nearly getting his head chopped. Not quite. Until they get to the tree soon. The carriage is going to separate in a minute. They're going to go over. Is it going to be here? It goes over and hangs onto the. Because there's a here we go. Hang on. Where is it? He goes over and he's hanging on, and it looks like that's close when he grabs hold. There we go. Breaks that. So the horses separate now, and then he comes off. Now he falls to the ground as the stunt man. I presume that's not Johnny Depp. And as he lands, there's the carriage behind him. So that's a bit close, isn't it? But he made it. He made it. Anyway, they end up back at the tree. The carriage crashes. The horseman's obviously still after them. She's arrived now. So there she goes. She's mocking them. She grabs hold of Katrina, says, here she is. She's yours. Then Ichabod gets up. He sees the bag that she's got the skull in. He just must know. He must have seen her put it in this bag. I don't know. But he goes and knocks Lady Van Tassel off her horse and grabs the bag. And the horseman's coming to chop off Katrina's head. He whacks. He gives her a good old whack. Oh, we missed it. He gives Lady Van Tassel a good old whack with a branch. Then the horseman's going to cut off her head. But then, as you can see, but then Ichabod grabs the skull and says, "Horseman," because he must have ears. He can still hear, even though he's got his skull in his hand. Calls out "Horseman," and then he throws the skull to him. There we go, like that, and he catches it. His huge skull. I mean, I don't know how big skulls are, but if that's his skull, his head must be massive, after all the hair and muscle and everything's put on, but never mind. So he pops it back on, like that. Like Wurzel Gummidge and his spare heads. Then all his skin grows back, and, kind of goofy effects, kind of cool. 1999, after all, when it came out. There we go. Cool. So they're safe, and the horseman gets back on his horse. There we go. He's all back to normal now. He's all Christopher Walken. And now he decides he wants a bit of Huge ass. Sorry, I said that because Joshua Caps a huge ass. He wants a bit of what's the face? Forgot her name now. Lady Van Tassel. He wants a bit of her, so he gets on his horse, sees his horse is all right. There we go. Grabs hold of Miranda Richardson, picks her up, and goes ha ha. Rides his horse. Doesn't gallop off, but hang on. See, the tree's getting ready to receive him. Then she wakes up. And he's looking down at her, and he gives her a good old kiss. And apparently, this is Christopher Walken's first screen kiss, according to Tim Burton. It is anyway. So he gives her a good old kiss, and then there's all blood and stuff coming out of her mouth. So I don't know. Is it just because he's got sharp teeth? He just biting her. I don't know, but she don't look very happy about it. And then he takes her into the underworld. And all is happy again. There we go. Just leaves her hand pointing out. And then, of course, he faints. Because that's what he does. If that were made now, we'd be saying, oh, they've done that. It's woke, but they're making the man look weak and all that. But he saved the day, hasn't he, essentially? It's Ichabod, isn't it? Right, so we cut to some time later, and as you can see, it's all a bit more colourful now. The main part of the story, apart from his dreams, kind of muted colours, weren't they? It was very blue, wasn't it? And not very colourful. But now everything's back to normal and everything's happy. The horseman's being sent back to the netherworld. Colours coming back into the forest. There we go. If that's true, it's amazing. I can't think of a movie might have kissed someone in before this, aside from Blast from the Past. I don't know. But that's what Tim Burton said in the commentary. He said it was Christopher Walken's first screen kiss. And he said it might have been his last. Oh. But I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what Tim Burton said. Right, so the carriage is that a matte painting? Looks very. I say it looks like a constable or something, doesn't it? So there you go. They're an item now. They're headed for New York, along with young Masbeth carrying all the bags. There we go. And it must be Christmas time now, maybe. Don't know, because it's snowing. So it started off at Halloween. Now we're entering Christmas time, maybe. And they're heading for wherever they're going to live in New York. Masbeth's now their personal slave. But anyway. And that's the end. He says battery's up, Bronx. I don't know. He's pointing out places in New York. I don't know what they are. But this was actually filmed in London, London, not New York. And that's the end of the film. There we go. Cool film, in my honest opinion. Tim Burton's best film. I think it is anyway. I do like his other films. I like Batman. I like Batman Returns, which I'll be watching soon because it's a Christmas film. I like Mars Attacks. I like Ed Wood. I can't think of a film of his I don't like. I've never seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure, so I can't comment on that. And Edward Scissorhands. I've never watched that either. I tried watching it. Wasn't my thing. So, but apart from that, most of his other films were cool. There's nothing at the end, is there? So I don't need to see that. Anyway. Let's get rid of that. Make myself big. There we go. Right, so that's the end of Sleepy Hollow. As I said, I think it's his best film. It's just a really good, it is a horror film because people get their heads chopped off left, right, and centre, even though it is a bit, goofy in places and a bit of humour's in there, but anyway. Windgrace says, I like how Planet of the Apes, like you like Planet of the Apes, even if it's not great. I didn't hate it. It was just not as good as the others, was it? But the makeup effects in Planet of the Apes were amazing. Like I said, Tim Roth as General, what's his face? I forgot his name. Looked great. I think it looked amazing. So Helena Bonham Carter didn't look very good. She kind of looked more attractive as a chimpanzee than she does in real life. But anyway. Anyway, that's by the by. Right, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. What's coming up? Monday. Well, Sunday's my news stream. We've got Doctor Who at the weekend, haven't we? So I'll probably do a review of the second of the anniversary specials, Wild Blue Yonder. Monday, Magnificent Mondays this week is I've forgotten. Starship Troopers. That's what's coming up. And I haven't decided for next week's appointment with Fear yet. I'll do that over the weekend. Right, so I'm going to go now. So thanks, Win Grace. Thanks, Josh Temple. And thanks, Joshua Kanapke, for joining in. Josh Temple says, that was a great stream review. Glad I made it for it. Thank you very much. That means a lot to me. And Win Grace says, looking forward to it. What? The Doctor Who review or Starship Troopers? Or both. I hope it's good, this Doctor Who. I do. Anyway. Right, so we'll leave it there. I better make sure there's no more messages. No, there's no more messages on Rumble. Because I keep forgetting to check Rumble. No. Right. Right, so we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. Aidan wants a cornetto now, doesn't he? Says, I want a cornetto when you're finished. A cornetto's an ice cream. Don't know if you know that. I don't know why I want bloody guys. It's bloody freezing cold. I've got my coat on and everything. But anyway. Right. Well, I will go now. Make sure nobody else commented and I missed it. Oh, Jimmy popped in, didn't he? Scottish Geek guy. So I say thanks everybody for joining the chat. As I always say, you make it a bazillion times better. You really, really do. Right. So I'm going to go now. I only know what it is from the trilogy. Trilogy of what? I forgot what I'm talking about now. What? Doctor Who or Starship Troopers? Don't know. I'm getting mixed up now. Anyway, I'm going to go. Oh, you mean Cornetto trilogy? Yes, Cornetto trilogy. Yes, there's Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and World's End. They're only called that because they mention cornettos in each film, don't they? And in World's End, it's vague, isn't it? I think like a cornetto rapper is seen or something. Yes, Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy. Anyway, yeah. Shaun of the Dead's one of my favourite films of all time. We'll probably do that at some point. But do I do it as a horror or do I do it as a Magnificent Monday? This Sleepy Hollow is one of those, isn't it? And Renfield as well were one of those. You know, do you do them as horror or Magnificent Mondays? I don't know which to do. Maybe I can do either. With some films. Anyway, right. So we'll leave it there. So thanks for watching. And wherever you are, don't have nightmares. Look after each other. And until next time, I'll see thee.